Hello everyone, welcome to another tactic tutorial video for FIFA 23 here on the channel. I'm Ash, and today we're continuing our tactics tutorial series with a video on how to make a successful pressing tactic within FIFA 23. Gegenpress, counter press, extreme press, any sort of press, whatever you want really. How can you make a successful one? Well, today I'm going to go through it, tell you the best formations to use, the best tactical instructions to use, and also some handy player instructions as well. For those of you who haven't done so already, make sure to check out my Patreon because the link is down below. You can get access to a whole range of fantastic perks such as my tactics package, where I give you ratings and rankings of every system I cover on the channel. I do lots of real systems and real tactics that you might find interesting, as well as exclusive tactics videos only on Patreon, Discord server access, behind the scenes videos, early access to videos, and a whole lot more. Also, go and check out my video games podcast. The links are down below. If you want your video games fix, me and my good pal Ash do cover all things video games, and there's a regular podcast, so go and check that one out. With that being said, let's talk about pressing systems. So, whilst you're hitting the subscribe button and ringing the bell to get notifications every time I upload, let me talk to you about which formations are best. Well, with a pressing system, naturally, you are going to look to kind of win the ball back quickly and early in most kind of cases. And so as a result, you're going to want players in the more advanced areas of the pitch. You want to push your own players up so that they are in a better position to press. So with that in mind, the best sorts of systems that you can use are ones like this, for example, 4-3-3 with an attacking midfielder with wingers. That's going to allow you to get those players further up the field and instigate those presses. Now, it isn't just limited to that. The likes of 4-2-3-1s, etc. work absolutely fine. And with regards to, say, a free back, for example, you can also get a fairly effective press. I have done that as well to much success. With something like this, for example, you've got the wide midfielders, a centre attack midfielder, two strikers. It's also the same for likes of 3-4-2-1. That's going to be very, very good. You can utilise that one. Same with likes the 3-4-3 flat and the diamond. These work very, very well. But preferably you are looking for wingers. But that's not to say you can't get away with something like a 3-5-2, because you are still going to be able to generally get players further up the pitch. The important thing is that you avoid the defensive formations. Now, systems like this, the 5-4-1 flat, a 5-2-1-2, just avoid. You're not getting enough bodies up there, and it is going to be tough to create a really effective press, particularly if you have a counter-pressing orientated system or an extreme constant pressure system. The same goes for something like this, kind of the narrowed midfield diamond. I would absolutely avoid those sort of things at all costs. Yes, you don't have to have wingers, but you do want kind of players further up the field. And in this situation, you've only really got three, the two strikers and the cam, that can really effectively press. Even the flat central midfielders will be a little bit hit and miss in that situation. Obviously, you've only got base fullbacks. So if you do want something like that, you're better off going for something like this 3-5-2. With regards to the tactical instructions that you should use for pressing systems, now, call me Mr. Obvious, but obviously you want pressure on every touch, or press after possession loss, or constant pressure. That one's very self-explanatory. Obviously, you want to avoid drop back because naturally that's counterintuitive. You know, that contradicts having a press. And then also you want to avoid balance, because balance actually merges pressure on heavy touch but with drop back. So because you're still going to be dropping back sometimes, you want to avoid balance. So you can definitely get away with either of these three. That's what you are looking for, basically. With the width, you don't want to stretch it out too far just because you don't want to create too many gaps, but you can, or it is really advised to stretch this out a little bit more. Usually, obviously, a general kind of principle, I guess, is that you have this very compact shape. If you want to kind of supplement that press more, you can stretch this out a little bit more, something like 30 to 40, particularly depending on the formation as well. You can afford to stretch it out a bit more if you've got three centre-backs, for example, or three midfield. But you can do this. So anything up to 40, I would say, is really advised. Anything above that, I would definitely stay away from in any system. With the depth, now generally you are going to want a high line, but you can still get away with a mid block, something around a 60 mark. You know, when you start going below that, it does drop off a little bit too much. Now, That's really dependent on the type of press you have. For example, if you've got pressure on heavy touch or press after possession loss, you can definitely get away with a mid block. If you have constant pressure on, I think at all times you are looking for this high line, because it is just going to be relentless and you're going to want those players as far at the field as possible. So you want a higher block. Whereas with kind of press after possession loss and pressure on heavy touch, you do generally still kind of regain that defensive shape and fall back a little bit. So you can then go to a mid block. Anything, 60 is a really good number. So for likes of build-up play and chance creation, there's not really too much, because obviously offensively that doesn't have much bearing on the press. The only thing I would say is to avoid this combo here: constant pressure, fast build-up forward runs. Your stamina will die, quite simply. Your players will be dead. So avoid that. In particular, if you wanted to just get rid of fast build-up, still generally avoid that. Constant pressure and forward runs, again, still drains on the stamina heavily. So if you are going to go for constant pressure, go for something like possession instead. Whereas with the other presses, press after possession loss and heavy touch, you can obviously go forward runs, fast build-up, and that won't drain us on the stamina as much as what this does. This is really the most of the lethal combination of all. What about the player instructions? What are the advisable ones to create a successful pressing system? Well, first things first, you have this one here, aggressive interceptions. This can definitely work wonders, and something that I would advise you kind of try to incorporate in your system. However, use it sparingly. It will, of course, add an extra drain on stamina, and if you do have a constant pressure defensive style, I would avoid using aggressive interceptions. But if you have either press after possession loss or pressure on heavy touch, definitely consider switching a player here or there to aggressive interceptions. I would advise it be the likes of centre backs and defensive midfielders. The reason being is that they cover less ground in the game, and therefore it's more lenient with regard to stamina. Whereas if you use it on wingers and fullbacks, those guys who are constantly running up and down the touchline, it's naturally going to have that effect on stamina. So definitely something you should consider for the likes of centre-backs, defensive midfielders, maybe even flat central midfielders as well. Aggressive interceptions does just help to complement that press. They're going to obviously step out a little bit more and look to win the ball more aggressively, as it kind of says so in the title really. They do a good job of this on FIFA anyway, but aggressive interceptions do just give it a little kick up as well. So you do definitely see the upside to that, but as I say, with the stamina, just use it sparingly. You also have this instruction right here, step up. Now, for any of you who are regular viewers of the channel, you'll know that with regards to our tactics replications and recreation videos, we haven't used this at all in any of those kind of systems yet. And it's not something I use very often because it does still have its problems. It does still have growing pains. What it will do, as it says, is obviously it's going to step up. They're going to man mark players. So if you've got trying to create like a man marking, ultra pressing system, think Bielsa, Pochettino, etc., then this is what it's looking to kind of implement. However, if you have more than one player on step up, it does start to kind of go a little bit crazy, because it can't work out who each player should be marking and kind of following the runs of. And you obviously tend to find, particularly with your defenders, they're everywhere, and you just got a massive gaping hole at the back. So again, I would use this sparingly. I think the best time to use it is, say, if you have a free back, for instance, and let's say the opposition are only playing one striker, then maybe you could go with the central centre-back. You could have him step up. He can follow that striker, and the other two centre-backs will kind of cover for that position, and therefore will help to implement the press. So I think there is definitely a place for it, but it does still need some kind of tweaking from EA. So until then, again, don't go crazy with it. Another thing to consider, which I mentioned last year and something we've obviously done a lot on this channel, is with these fullbacks, if you just push these guys up a little bit to left wing back, that will naturally get them further forward, and they'll play in a more advanced and attacking way. So as a result, whenever you do lose a ball, they're going to be further up the pitch, and so it's going to help with that press, because they are obviously going to be just further up the pitch to help complement that press. Simple as. So if you are kind of using a kind of extreme possession-based system, and it does have that element of an attacking nature to it, consider doing that. Consider having these fullbacks pushed up to wing-back, or at least one of them. And that can really help you as well, because it definitely gives you that kind of the higher upside to your press by having them further at the pitch and supporting the strikers. Obviously, it does mean more risks. You can get played in behind down the wings more, so that's something you'll obviously have to kind of judge for yourselves. But certainly an option. So with that in mind, we are just about ready to round it off there. If you have made it through to the end, thank you so much everyone for watching. I hope you found this really helpful. If you have, make sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell to get notifications every time I upload, and don't forget to check out my Patreon. You can get lots of fantastic perks and rewards on there, and a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons on there who are continuing to support the channel and really just keeping it afloat. Really, your support has been tremendous, absolutely tremendous. So thank you so much to all of you choosing to watch this one. With that being said, make sure to look out for all of my other tactics tutorial videos. You'll find them on the channel. They'll be coming over the next few weeks and stuff. We'll have stuff on how to make counter-attacking systems, overlapping centre-back systems, total football systems, and a whole lot more, really. If you've got any suggestions for tactics tutorials that you want to see, make sure to hit me in the comment section down below. With that being said, we're just about ready to round it off there. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next one, I will see you soon.